Previously on AFTN.
We talked about all the Houston players we did want. Manitas, Albert Ellis, Arturo Alvarez.
I honestly have never heard of him. I don't even think I've ever seen him play.
He can play in both wings.
He's old. He's left-footed, isn't he?
He's 33. El Salvadorian international.
Oh, that explains
12 seasons in the league since 2003. So he's a veteran.
Yeah, you know him.
I wouldn't recognize him if he walked in here and had the T-shirt that said I'm Arturo Alvarez. I wouldn't know if it was him.
Well, hello again. We're finally on air. 11:40 Sunday night, 40 minutes late. Thank you for staying with us if you are. I know most of you are going to listen to this on the podcast anyway. But hello again and welcome to another episode of the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM. If you listen to this show on the podcast, this is episode 313. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
And the off-season keeps rolling on, and the busyness just keeps continuing. A lot to talk about.
I thought we had more game shows in the off-season, but it doesn't look like it's happening.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll have those over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot to talk about. Some of it, I'm sure, will raise some voices, some good talking points. I'm in an angry mood now, so this could go anywhere tonight. So we'll see what happens there. But we'll start off in part one with our Whitecaps news of the week. And yeah, the busy Whitecaps off-season continues apace. After all the additions we talked about last Sunday, it's more kind of departures this week. One new addition, though, that became official.
Confirmed.
We talked roughly that he was coming. That was the rumours.
Yeah, I think we should just leave it at that.
You don't like him because he's a sounder. You're not going to welcome him?
I'm not excited about Flounders coming.
He's been doing really well in Motherwell, and the Motherwell fans are very sad to see him go. So,
what if he realized that he was in a wrong spot after 4 years, and that's why he decided to leave?
Well, yeah.
Then you would have more respect.
I mean, if he says that, that would be interesting.
This is Andy Rose we're talking about.
Does Motherwell play on what's their surface?
Grass.
Oh, okay.
Or turf, as Barry Robson would know.
Yes. I think it's only Kilmarnock. Actually, Kilmarnock and Hamilton's only two Scottish Premier sides that don't. Yeah.
Okay.
So he's used to playing on grass. So yeah, Andy Rose, I think it's a good signing. We talked a little bit about him last week. We gave up 50,000 in GAM to Seattle for his MLS rights.
Which is really nothing.
Spent 4 years there.
Yeah.
He's an Aussie midfielder.
Yeah, how did they keep his rights for so long? I thought that expired.
No, if you leave with no compensation for the team, MLS
you have
team,
the rights the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just the youth players right after a certain time, isn't it?
I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
not sure about
homegrown might fall down. It's just like we made a bona fide offer to Christian Teixeira, so we keep his MLS rights.
Yeah.
Right.
Forever.
Bona fide.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andy Rose signed a 2-year deal with a club option for 2021. Played 2012 to 2015 for the Sounders, made 90 appearances, scoring 5 goals, 7 assists. Went over to Europe, spent time with Coventry, more recently with Motherwell. He's a versatile box-to-box midfielder. He's described in the Motherwell website as a dominating midfielder who plays with guile and assurance, combining athleticism, vision and terrific ability on the ball.
Yeah.
And he's young. He's only 28, or he'll be 28 in February.
He's young.
Well, to me, that's young. It's all relative, really.
Wait, are we changing the Joe DZ rule?
Yeah.
That was 25.
Well, he's young. So to him, 28 is old.
Surely, again, this is a depth player, right? This can't be.
I think he's here to compete, I think, with Russell Tybert.
Yeah, I think him and Tybert challenge
for one of the
position.
midfield spots, yeah.
For a starting spot?
Yeah. I'm not saying
you seem surprised at that. He's not going to come all the way from a Scottish Premier team to just sit on the bench, where he's been a starter.
Yeah,
and played in a cup final.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a competitor for that spot.
That's a fair perspective, Mike.
And you can't expect every player on a MLS side to be like a superstar.
No.
Like people are saying like you got to replace everybody. You can't do that. You have to have some guys that have been here before.
Well, we'll get into this later. Okay. They've replaced a lot.
They're
trying to replace a lot.
Well, let's look at some guys then that have been replaced, or at least have moved on because the replacements aren't here yet. And we've got to start with Kei Kamara. It was pretty obvious he wasn't coming back from everything that's been said, and we'd heard during the past week that he definitely wasn't, and that was officially confirmed on Monday that they weren't bringing him back. Kamara, though, opted out of free agency.
Which was a good move for him.
Yeah,
Smart.
because it can get him more money in the re-entry draft.
Because they came up with that. Remember we talked about it like back in the summer where they had that new rule where if you're a player that has, if you're being paid more than the maximum cap charge, which is like $580 or something like that, and you opt for free agency, basically you're the maximum. You can't get paid more than the maximum if you want to sign as a free agent. Yeah. So his maximum he could have signed for is $580 essentially, or something to that effect. And because he opted out, he was able to sign a decent contract with Colorado.
It just kind of shows you how shitty the free agency agreement that those players agreed to sign. Yeah. I mean, we said it at the time. And with every passing thing about it, it just looks absolutely garbage.
The CBA is not due until the following year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There has to be, if the players don't get a better deal, they need to have a real strike.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely terrible agreement. But Kamara was taken second by Cincinnati in the expansion draft. Immediately traded to Colorado.
Immediately. Like Alan Koch announced it right away.
Same sentence.
Okay. Can we, just a couple things about this. I think you and I had been texting about this a little bit, Michael. How could they, I'll be shocked if they did not try to include something in the deal for Spencer Ritchie that said, okay, you're doing this, don't take anyone from us in the.
Well, they technically didn't take anyone because
he wasn't
coming back.
Yeah.
And
no, that's not true. He's a Whitecaps owned his MLS rights.
Yeah.
And he was on their unprotected list. So it doesn't matter whether he's coming back or not. They could have got something themselves for him.
No,
well, they did.
Couldn't.
They only got 50,000 GAM because they had a player taken in the expansion draft.
But they ultimately got this. Cincinnati traded for an international roster spot, which was then part of the Kendall Waston deal. It was the same spot. So they got 50,000 GAM and an international roster
Zach, also,
spot.
you don't know if he only opted out because he had an agreement with Cincinnati picking him and trading him to Colorado. That could have been all arranged.
No, you
never know.
I do not believe that was arranged. But
there had to be something figured out because you don't opt out and take your chances with wherever you're going to go.
No, you opt out of the free agency because you're going to make more money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I've no problem with it. And he could just have walked away and we wouldn't have got a single thing for him.
But you basically,
if he'd gone free agency.
If you think of it, you traded Kei Kamara for Andy Rose.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah, well, you traded GAM for GAM. You
the same amount of GAM.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah. Well, we did get the international roster spot.
But that was a part of a different deal. You can't say that's because of that.
But they got that for it.
They got an international roster spot, but that wasn't part of, what I'm saying is that part of the deal. It doesn't matter what international roster spot since he gave to them. Technically, these are separate things.
Okay, let's just. I think
they're
we're
not.
going around in circles.
It was part of the same deal. That's why they put it in.
But
they've said to the Whitecaps, "What are you needing?" They've given them what they're needing, and that's why they traded with Colorado for that specific spot. But I mean, since they're fast becoming Whitecaps central because they took Darren Mattocks first.
Yeah.
They've got all our coaching staff, or some of our coaching staff. And then the big news came out in the afternoon. Kendall Waston. It was big to him anyway. He wasn't expecting it. So, yeah. He's gone. We knew he was going to go.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, who cares? He's gone.
No, but you could say that now, but looking back, he was one of the best Whitecaps probably in MLS era.
Oh yeah, but
the best
it's a
defender?
low bar.
Best
I would say
defender.
one of the best players.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Well, not even just the best defender.
It's a low bar though.
It is a low bar, but he was up there.
No, like in all
I think he was
seriousness-
just as valuable as Camilo was in the couple of years he played. Honestly, I don't see any. I see very few differences in there.
He would definitely be in the Whitecaps MLS era starting 11 at this point.
Oh, for sure. That's 100%.
No matter what formation. you know?
Yeah.
got the info on Monday that he was likely to get traded to an Eastern Conference team.
Yeah.
There was a couple of names I was given. Since he was one, Toronto was one as well that might have been interested in him, which would have been an interesting trade depending on what we got back for that, never mind the fact that he's going to a rival. I don't mind him going to Cincinnati. We got 450 GAM, 300 TAM, international roster spot, the one that they traded Colorado for, 75,000 in future GAM if he meets performance criteria, metrics, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a good deal for a player that didn't want to come back. Mark DeSantos said on Monday he didn't expect him back.
Well, the Whitecaps didn't want him back. I mean, you said on previous shows that they were not planning to have him back after the World Cup.
No, they
were
thought
not.
he would go
Yeah,
there.
they did not want him here either. Like that's I think one of the things that people don't fully understand is. I know, Steve. We've talked. We were talking in our pre-show time tonight, and I know you didn't appreciate him speaking about his desire to leave while the season was still on, and I can appreciate that, even though I'm okay with what he did. But people are like, he said he didn't want to be here. They made him know that they didn't want him here first, and that's why he used the imagery of like, I don't feel safe in my own house. Like, I'm not welcome here. I'm not wanted here. And so I know you could say it's unprofessional or you didn't like whatever, but if it's who didn't want
captainy.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You're going to say who cares about that?
No. I mean, what I think of as a captain is different than what most people here think of a captain. They think of ice hockey and how that captain is supposed to work. To me, it's different in football, and I know you also have a different perspective on what a captain is than I do. But like when people are like, "Oh, he didn't want to be here," the truth is they didn't want him here first. People need to understand that they did not want him here first. So people can say, "Oh, he publicly said," and the timing and whatever, and I'm okay with the frustration, Steve. Like I appreciate your perspective on that, but the record needs to show that they did not want him here first. They are the ones who made him feel unwelcome here.
But the allocation money. Get back to that. The allocation money. Obviously, like we said before, whenever they make a transfer, the maximum. Well, it's usually GAM you get. $750 is the maximum you could turn any transfer fee into, right? Like even Alphonso Davies, they got $13 million, but they could only have $750 of allocation money from that. Same with Kendall Waston getting $750. That's basically the max you're going to get.
Well, a lot of people weren't happy that Waston. Well, some weren't happy that he went at all. Some weren't happy that he went to within MLS. I think if he'd gone to a rival or a Western Conference team, that would have been slightly different. But for me, his biggest value was within the league. There was no way that you're not going to get the best value for him within MLS.
At this time, I think.
At this time, he's 31. He didn't have a great season. 2017 was a better season.
No.
The team was poor defensively.
Yeah, but him personally as well.
But Michael, team-wise, he didn't have a good season, but he did have moments.
Yeah.
Especially at the world stage.
Well, that's the
and
thing. He's performed really well on the world stage with Costa Rica. At the World Cup and some of the more recent games, all the stuff like that.
The one thing Cincinnati will be able to do is use his Mandarin in order to connect with the Chinese community in Cincinnati. That's definite.
The Mandarin thing was just, I think, a personal thing.
I know.
It had nothing to do with trade.
I know. But it just shows you how things grow arms and legs.
Yeah. One other thing I do want to say, too, is that I think the people who are expressing their opinion that they feel that the whole Southsider statement stuff played a role in this. My understanding is it didn't at all. It was more stuff with the front office and the club.
Yeah.
And that I think Kendall's perspective would be these are people who have a different perspective than me, and that's okay. Like, it's not, and so they can express it and whatever. The process was, I don't think ideal in anyone's opinion, but people are like, oh, he left because the statement was made. That's
Yeah.
very much a false narrative.
We have to talk, though, as well about his tweet, where this seemed as if it had caught him by surprise. It was tweeted out, the rumours that he was going to get traded, and it's like, oh, how come the player and his agent are the last folk to know that? Do you, I mean, you know him, do you believe that that was the case? Or do you feel that that was just part of the smokescreen that he put out there?
No, so I haven't asked him specifically about that, but I genuinely believe his tweet was like, no one has told me this is happening, and then whatever, an hour later, when it happened, he's like, okay, I'm happy to leave Vancouver, and now I have a new opportunity. And to me, those two things, I know some people are like, those two things don't make sense together,
Yeah.
but they do, right? It's one thing to say, no one has told me about this, and then when you find out, say, oh, I'm happy for it. Like, I don't understand.
No,
how
it's
so
just,
many people
his
are,
tweet seemed like he was not happy about not knowing or something. I guess maybe
Of
he was
course,
happy
of
not
course,
knowing.
he's
Yeah.
not. Of course, he's not happy. No,
But my whole point was,
Steve
like,
sent a nice tweet out.
I tweeted him. I actually, it wasn't against him. It
No.
was more against the agent.
No, yeah.
Because in North America, if you're going to sign in a North American league, you are going to know that you cannot be expected to be
No.
told when a trade
Hey,
happens within the league.
I saw your tweet, Steve, and again, his tweet doesn't mean that he doesn't know how it works in North America.
No, I know.
It's him saying
No
this
one
is
had
not.
told him it was going
yeah,
to
no one told me,
Cincinnati.
and this was. And we've
It
heard.
seemed like he was upset about it. That's why I thought, or he didn't understand why this is happening. That's the way it projected to me. Maybe it was my understanding
Yeah.
of what
he
my
knows.
interpretation.
Yeah, he fully knows how it works and how it
Well,
works here. It's more like a. It's more like a.
Then he obviously took a dig at the front office for not telling him or whatever.
Well, it's
and
more-
try to get some support on his side
Well, I don't know.
for the people that don't know what's going on. I guess. Yeah.
The other stuff we have to mention as well about it is he's going to a really good club. It's an exciting club. It's a club on the up. It's getting good crowds in. It's signing players. It's a first year. It's a chance to really build something there. So it's not as if he's going to a bad club. I'm pretty sure he would maybe have wanted to go to a better club. Like if you're looking at the East, the likes of an Atlanta or a Toronto would maybe have interested him more than a Cincinnati. I think it's a good move for him. He gets to reunite with Pamadou Ka, so that's going to be good. And
not on the field.
not well, yeah, that would be horrible in the field. But I mean, since
What if
he's
Ka
doing
gets
well,
to drive that vehicle while he's playing or something? Maybe he can make a comeback on that.
can you imagine though
The hoverboard or whatever they call
if
it.
since he had kept Kamara and had Kamara and Addy up front, Kendall at the back? That's a very strong physical team they'd be building. I mean,
And you
that would have
play
been good.
Maddox as a number 10.
Yeah, Matt's coming off as the sub even though. number 10 would be a bit scary.
I know this is a total aside because we don't plan to spend a lot of time talking about Cincinnati FC or.
No, that's going to be an extra podcast that's going to come out.
Okay, but do you have any concerns about them in terms of I think the number was 10 of players they brought forward from USL? And I know this is like almost a decade on from when the Whitecaps made
Yeah,
that
because the
transition.
Whitecaps were the highest team
Was it
before
8?
that. 8 or 9,
Yeah.
I think we brought on. And we saw what a disaster that was. But I think these are better players than we
Yeah,
brought on.
it's a different era.
Yeah, and it's better players.
And
I know
different management.
there are some
That's the
people.
key.
There are some people out there who are questioning them for that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem because they try, like, if they're including Addy as one of those guys, then you can't really count that, really, because he's an MS player. And there's one other guy that came from Portland too. I can't remember his name, but there were two of them that came from Portland.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think Addy.
starts with an A.
I think Addy's going to be the Golden Boot winner next year. No,
Oh, you're right. Get him down again for that.
I may just put him down for fun.
We've got to say, though, for Kendall as well, he was good with the Whitecaps. He had some great times here, some great
fantastic
moments.
times.
Great guy to speak to. Such a friendly guy as well. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not overly disappointed to see him go because sometimes he was a little bit too mistake prone for my liking. A lot of that, though, was brought on because he was having to cover for those around him.
And
Whenever
he was an aggressive player
Yeah.
too, and you're going to expect some
that I
mistakes
don't
from
mind,
him, yeah.
and the discipline and things that I didn't have a big issue with, and he did calm that down, and it didn't take too much out of his game. I do feel he could have scored a lot more than he did, but maybe that was partly the Whitecaps setup. Who knows? But it did feel that whenever he was called upon to do too much, his own game suffered. And we need two centre-backs that don't have to worry about that. And that was the problem this year with all the centre-backs changing. So much pressure was on Kendall.
Yeah.
And I don't think he had a great season, as I said, but he has had a lot of great times here. He was a really good player. and I think he'll do fantastic at Cincinnati.
For saying he could have scored more, he's like the leading scorer amongst defenders in that MLS era for Vancouver.
But when you see what he's done with Costa Rica, I do feel he could have got a lot more.
And the good thing is now he'll actually get noticed by the American media because he'll play in America.
Yes. So
was he one of your favorite interviews?
No, he wasn't a great interview.
Oh, really?
He was friendly, but he didn't, because his English isn't like his first thing.
You should try Mandarin.
Wasn't great. Oh, I'll try that.
Okay.
Did we ever get a video of him?
I brought one with me to eat during the breaks.
Did we ever get a video of him celebrating a goal with you? No.
That's the only thing we could have got. We should have got him slapping us for pulled off at half time.
Did you? Oh man. Did you see Spencer's tweet about it?
Yes. Yeah. So that'll be good. So after all that movement, the Caps are now like Scrooge McDuck. They're rolling in a pile of allocation money. Gam, Tam,
at least 1.5 million. We know that.
Yeah. All the normal allocation that they've got, all the trades, the Fonzie cash. So if they want to make some big splashes, whether within or out with the league, they've definitely got the chance to do that.
But Michael, why haven't they signed anyone? Michael, what's wrong? What's wrong?
I know.
Press the panic button.
I'm panicked already, I've got to say. That just added to my anger. But
yeah, people need to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Like as much as we've talked about how it feels like almost a good number. I know, Steve, we were talking about this too, but a good number of the players they need to bring in need to be starters. Probably at least half of the players they bring in.
Yeah, 4 to 5 at least.
The minimum.
And that's really elevating some of the role players that they brought in.
Yeah.
But the key is this is not a time where players around the world can move very easily.
No.
Unless they're out of contract.
we need to bring in some key difference makers, for sure. Both
absolutely.
now and in the summer, because Mark has said don't expect everyone to come in now.
It's different makers, I agree. The other thing that I think you're going to see happen, and one of the reasons why Mark DeSantos says he's okay for Kendall to go, is there needs to be some more players who can play the way that he wants to play, especially at center back.
It is crazy that folk are overreacting just now about the lack of quality signings. He's already come out and said, and we talked about this in last week's show, but then he reiterated it on Monday, these are guys that he's looking at, he's building his depth first. And it's maybe a strange way of doing it, but you don't know who else he's already got in mind and lined up. There's been links with players from Sweden and South Korea at the moment.
But the thing is, like, when you say that, like, it's easier to sign depth players than it is to sign that star.
Definitely.
So that's going to take the big signings, especially in MLS, are going to take time to do. So
just calm down is the message I think we've got for the fans.
Yes, sir.
It's mid-December. If we're still looking at mid-February and we don't have any big pieces in place, that would be a time to start to panic for sure.
Yeah, well, by the end of January, you'll see, I think you got to see at least 3 of those absolute must-needed 5 starters come in.
Well, him and his coaching staff's away scouting just now, and they're not going to be back in Vancouver until after the draft now.
My feeling is the 2 main starters they need a central midfielder immediately, and they need a center back. And those 2 guys need to be their starters for the full year. Now, all the other positions, I could see them signing somebody who's starter capable, but eventually will be replaced in the summer by a bigger signing. That's where I'm seeing the signings are being.
For those who think that might have sounded familiar, that was not Steve live. That was Michael playing a clip from previous season.
It needs to be done.
Yeah,
because they need to establish their defensive ability first, and then use the summer to strengthen their attacking.
I mean, I asked Mark DeSantis on Monday if Kamara's replacement was likely to come within or out with the league. And he said probably out with, because the players that he likes in the league, they're just not able to... The clubs want to keep hold of them, or they're wanting too much. We do have all this allocation money now, so maybe there's a big splash or a big trade in the works. I have heard a few little murmurs about that, but we did pass in the waiver and re-entry draft. I wouldn't be surprised if they're a little bit more active in stage 2 of the re-entry draft on Friday, but who knows? Because take them in stage 2, that's when you can renegotiate the contract. Take them in stage 1, you've got to take the contract that they've got. Also, got to
not too many people got taken, right?
No.
Your boy got taken.
Nick DeLeon.
Nick DeLeon got taken, which was a bit disappointing. Got to also say, Erik Hurtado's now left as well. That was the other big piece that came out on Friday. Well, I say big piece. That was the other piece that came out on Friday. So you're looking at a guy that's been with the club for a long time, gone now, and we got a second-round draft pick in 2020, first-round draft pick in 2021, both from KC, who are a good team usually, so you don't know whether they're going to be...
But by then, it could flip-flop.
Yeah.
You know.
So we're now praying that like KC's going to be going really, really bad.
Yeah, my understanding is this is not the first time that Kansas City has expressed interest in Erik Hurtado.
Well, he keeps always scoring
Interesting.
big goals against him.
A lot of folk were surprised that he went to such a big team like that, though.
Yeah. Well, it would be interesting to see what his role is there.
Yeah,
But
you have to
you-
imagine it's depth. But they've obviously seen something in him. 17 goals and 13 assists in his time in Vancouver.
And you got to think that Peter Vermees, whether you like him or don't like him, he doesn't bring in people just to like have a flyer, to have a look at, or like it's not. He doesn't make a lot of hopeful signings.
Nah, it's
he
true.
brings in people knowing this is how I want them to play in our side, and this is how I think they're going to excel. And so, for Erik's sake, I hope that he gets a good shot at making significant contributions.
Not sad to see him go, because I think we can get better. I do feel that he had really worked hard in his game. He's one of the hardest workers on the team. Wish him well.
Yeah.
Evi Juarez is the last player we'll talk about quickly in this section. It looks like he's going to get bought out, but he did give an interview with a Mexican website indicating that he's hoping to be back and speaking to the coach and seeing what the future holds in store. So that could get interesting.
Well, not according to my depth chart. He won't be on the team.
No, you didn't have that. So there's no odds yet for who they think's going to be winning the MLS Cup next year, or what the Whitecaps might come in at.
It's Atlanta.
What odds would you put on them? 33-1, 40-1? Not care.
I'd be higher than 33-1.
No way.
66-1.
40-1 right now at this point.
No, it's got to be at this very moment.
Oh, at this moment?
Oh, at this moment we're like 500 to 1.
the 150
But no, once
to
it's
1.
built, I still think we're probably talking like 33-1 or
Yeah.
something. Now, and if anyone's not sure about betting, just to explain that, for 33-1, it means if you put on $10 on the Whitecaps to win the MLS Cup, you've lost $10. But that is it for the first part. But we'll be back with more after this.
Hi, I'm Mark Dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Yeah. I'm still scratching my head, but it went from good to bad. In fact, it became the worst. It went from could be that to a place where I could be hurt. I just felt used in that. All daydreams slowly burst. See the anger pulled her back, and then that took over. I'd feel it first. It went from healthy chilled to the worst I had felt in my life. It went from the best to bold. See, I thought that I kent what I liked, but I take that back and I ken it. And my son will remember the fights. That breaks me down in a second. My innocent kid that I dreamt in my life. It went from good to bad. It went from could be that. It went from cool to mad. It went from good to bad. It went from could be that. It went from cool to mad. It went from.
Mad Hat McGore there. He's back after taking a week off last week.
I feel like deja vu.
Yeah. Well, anyone that was waiting for us to come on air will have enjoyed a little bit of Mad Hat McGore as they were waiting, since we had got a couple of requests to play him. So we did. Hope you all
as long
enjoyed
as
that.
it was requested.
Yes, that's the main thing. But yeah, it went from good to bad. Kind of a bit like the Whitecaps season. Maybe I kept that when we did our final part of the year in review. But something that the Whitecaps have definitely gone is from a team of players that we knew to not a lot of players. And Mario Santos had talked about not blowing up the team.
He said that in an interview with you guys, right? Yeah.
Which I had wanted him to blow up the team, so I'm quite happy that he basically has.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see that he would say that, and
maybe things just moved at a pace.
Maybe he figured blowing up the team was everybody's gone.
Depends what you class as
Because
blowing
that
up
would
the team. Yeah.
if you're blowing up
Because he
the
has
team, that means
kept all-
everybody's
yeah,
gone,
he's
right?
kept all the Canadians.
there was 31 players who were technically connected to the Whitecaps in 2018. 18 of them are now gone, and and one more is going to go.
There's a few more I would get rid of as
We know one more is going. If Efrain Juarez is not moved or bought out or whatever, everyone will be shocked. And I don't know how you work that dressing room, but so that's like 60%. That's going to be like over 60% when Juarez is gone of the squad, which is crazy. And yeah, like you said, the other thing is all the leadership, all the strong voices are gone. I mean, Felipe was, I think, involved in a little bit of that, but obviously didn't play a role at the end of the year. Rusty was involved, but I think he did all his talking at the end of the season to the media. I don't think he talked to his teammates too much. For me, the interesting thing was when we talked to a couple of supporters were meeting with Mark DeSantos a couple weeks ago, we said, how are you gonna handle this? Because this is an issue. This is an issue for the players, and I keep hearing from players who are part of that locker room saying they were extremely not happy with what Rusty said. But most of them, the way they've dealt with it is they just got rid of them. So it'll be interesting to see with those who are remaining and those who come in, how they make that work, or how to try to make things.
Yeah,
the thing is, I guarantee you, Russell wasn't the only one that felt that way, the way he felt. So maybe they kept those guys in, like you said, the ones that disagreed. They're the ones that are out.
Anyway, you are listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. As we said, I'd have to go there. It went from good to bad. Something else that's gone from good to bad this week is Ottawa Fury's future. It's not looking very good for them right now.
Yeah, if you think the Whitecaps don't look good right now.
Now, we're going to...
At least they have a league.
We're going to cover this over the next two parts. For this part, I'm going to play mostly a little bit of audio that we've got from a couple of guys out in Ottawa. Then we're going to kind of debate that in part three. If you've been living under a rock, basically the Ottawa Fury situation is CSA, USSF, both had no issues with Ottawa Fury playing in the USL next year, as they have in 2017 and 2018. They sanctioned them, the CSA. So as far as they were concerned, everything was good. Then, Wednesday, came down the edict from Victor Montagliani and his CONCACAF crew. And we know how trustworthy they are at CONCACAF, so we can believe everything that they say.
Well, again, you're painting the current CONCACAF administration with the brush of the previous administration.
I'm half jesting. But yeah, CONCACAF said that they were not sanctioning Ottawa to play in the USL for the forthcoming 2019 season. Obviously, that came as a bit of a shock to Ottawa, and we're going to play a little bit of audio, first of all, from Mark Goudie, who did a conference call with a couple of media. I think it was mostly Paul Tenorio, who writes for a number of things. I think The Athletic now is the main one. So Mark Goudie is the CEO of Ottawa Entertainment and Sporting Group. So let's just play a little bit, first of all, from what he said.
Yeah, we received a correspondence from the Canadian Soccer Association this morning that was telling us that they had received a letter from CONCACAF whereby CONCACAF was not going to be providing us with sanctioning for this season. Quite surprising. We have players showing up in 40 days to start our training camp, and very excited about what's in store for us in 2019 in the USL.
Are you able to provide some of the stats, the number of players you've signed to this point and how many season tickets you've sold to this point?
Yeah, in terms of season tickets, we're at about 1,500. We've just we're in the midst of our renewal campaign right now, and I think we've got about a dozen players under contract, with a bunch more that are pending and that would be signed in the next couple of weeks.
How long have you guys kind of understood that this was I had heard through just kind of my sourcing prior that the Premier League had been in touch with you, the Canadian Premier League had been in touch with you at Ottawa about joining and about what your plans were, and knew that your plans were to play in the USL. But how would you classify your discussions with the Canadian Premier League over the last few months?
Yeah, well, we haven't spoken to them since July, and it was back in July that we notified them that for at least the first season that we wouldn't be joining the CPL. My relationship with them goes back probably 2+ years. We had offered our support in helping them as they built the league out and started hiring staff, and obviously have a vested interest with it being a professional league in our backyard. So we've had quite extensive dialogue with them over the last couple of years, but we informed them in July that we were going to be staying in the USL for the 2019 season.
What went into that decision to stay in USL?
The USL is an awesome league, and they've done a wonderful job growing a world-class second division league. And I think it's more of what the USL isn't than the CPL is right at this point, right? It hasn't kicked the ball yet.
So Mark Goudie there from the OASG group. They are the ownership group of Ottawa Fury. And that was done on Wednesday after the CONCACAF initial statement came out. Now, after that, I spoke to Julian de Guzman on Thursday at 2 o'clock. It was great. We had a good interview in the can, which we're going to play for you shortly. Then 10 minutes after that, CONCACAF sent out another email clarifying some details. So I didn't get a chance to ask Julian about stuff. But it seems a big mess. I got a chance to speak to him on the phone on Thursday just to ask about the Fury situation. And was it a surprise to him? And what are they going to do about it? So let's just hear from Julian de Guzman just now. Hey Julian, I know you must be super busy right now, so thank you so much for doing this. We're going to run this on our radio show on Sunday, and I know some things could happen between now and Sunday, but basically, I mean, you've had about 24 hours or so now to digest everything. What's the feeling like at the club now that it's kind of sunk in that this decision has come down?
It all happened unexpectedly, and this is something we obviously didn't really expect and prepare for. So, the most important thing is we just continue with our strong intention to continue to create a team, and our main objective, in short term, is to get the support of CONCACAF and get the decision overruled. So I personally feel it's just it is overwhelming. It's a shock, but at the same time we continue to work towards our goals that we've planned for, we prepared ourselves for, and that is to field the team for 2019.
Now, when it got announced in the summer that Ottawa wasn't going to be part of the Canadian Premier League, I was worried at that time that the CSA might not sanction you, but then the CSA did sanction you. There were some rumours going around that CONCACAF might get involved in October, but I dismissed that at the time, not thinking that they would if the CSA had approved it. Is that generally how you felt as well, that if the CSA approved it, then that would all be good?
We follow all the guidelines. We went about it the right way, in the most professional manner as well. And, that's the last thing we would have thought would come our way at this point in time. In the history of my experience involved in this game, from Bundesliga, La Liga to, USL, it's something I've just never encountered. So the good thing is we obviously continue to work with what we've been planning for with our involvement in the USL, and we kind of just stick to our game plan. But it's important that we resolve this as soon as possible, because it's a hard hitting reality when you start talking about some of the things that could potentially occur if it doesn't go our way. But we're just very hopeful and faithful that we get this overturned, and we could continue our journey in building a Ottawa Fury team in 2019. So it's just unfortunate that we have to run into this barrier, but it's the reality of it right now, and we continue to work towards creating the dreams that many have enjoyed in the past of Ottawa Fury as a professional team.
Now, obviously, the USL are backing you, and they released their conference alignment today, and the Fury is in their plans. But you've said that you're going to look at all options to fight it, whether that's legal or whatever. But obviously, things are kind of time compliant right now. What's the realistic cut-off time do you feel you've got to get this sorted to enable you to play in the USL next year?
We're hoping in minutes, and there's no fixed time that we could really present, but we want this to take, we want to sort it out as soon as possible. And, for now, we're just going to have to put our strategy in place. It could be a matter before courts, but at this moment in time, it's best we don't discuss publicly what that entails, but we just would like this to be sorted out as soon as possible in the best manner.
Now, when the statement came out, I think that the general feeling from everyone reading it was it's tied to the Canadian Premier League. CONCACAF are viewing the Canadian Premier League as being an equivalent to the USL. Is that your understanding? Is that how it was explained to you, that CONCACAF feel that the CPL is an equivalent in Canada and that's why you should play there?
You know, that's something we're waiting to hear from CONCACAF, and you know, until then we could, you know, take our next steps. We do not understand what the actual motives are at this point in time, and again, all of this is we're certainly taken by surprise, and I mean that's something I hope you could even ask them and find out for us. But
yeah,
until then, I mean, we just don't have any answers or reasons why this has happened. So that's something I'm sure CONCACAF would know, and we're waiting to find out what that is.
Now, you've had a lot of support as well from the MLS sides, and I mean, I wrote an article about this as well because I'm involved with the TSS Rovers PDL team out here. So to me, this sets a dangerous precedent, I feel, for the other Canadian teams playing in American leagues. I mean, do you see that as a worry, that if this is ruled down to you, that it's going to affect others, and if it doesn't affect others, why are you being singled out?
You know, that's, again, these are things I ask myself. I've been asked as well many times since this has happened, and I would love to know the exact reason why and why just us. But, you know, back to the question with regards to affecting the MLS teams and for soccer in Canada, most importantly, I think it's you know, everything that we've done in our power, everything and every reason why I continue to stay involved in this and to help this sport grow. It's no different than what I've experienced as a player. And my objective is to put this team, Ottawa Fury, this Canadian club, on the map for the right reasons. And I think we've, you know, expressed that so many ways, and we've proved it as well when you see players from our side representing the Canadian national team. When you see Canadians, you know, from 7 to even 8 starting in games and getting results, and using this as a springboard to even play in top leagues in the continent. I'm doing everything, and there's a lot of people behind this that believe in what the Fury is about, believe in what even TFC and the Impact and the Whitecaps, you know, they've done great things for soccer in Canada, and we support that. So the end goal in this is, you know, for me, is to put this country on the map as a soccer nation, and by helping out Canadians in these type of leagues, MLS and the USL, that has helped us. That has helped us raise the Alphonso Davies or the Jonathan Nazarios and the Samuel Pietts and the Maxime Propose. This is what we're about. Yeah. We've done everything in our power to do the right, to do the good for this game, and we're still waiting to see why this has happened in the last 24 hours. We're figuring out why we are obstructed to continue with the right ideas and the right intentions for soccer in Canada.
I mean, talking about what Ottawa has done for the Canadian football scene, I mean, it's a lot. You had the most minutes of any professional club for Canadian players last year, and like John Pugh has been involved with Ottawa men, women, youth since 2003. I mean, I don't know how much chat you've had with John Pugh about this, but he must feel it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. He spent 15 years investing money in the Canadian game, and now something like this happens.
Believe me, it leaves questions all over the place, and when you hear the type of dedication and the ownership John has taken for the Fury, and ever since I came here in 2015, and the more I learn about what he has done for this club and what he intends to do for the country, it just does not make sense. And I love to use even my example as well for what I've done for this country and what I want to give back to. And I'm just perplexed in so many ways. But he's a guy I continue to believe in. He's a guy that sends the right message across the board, and he's a big reason why I'm here too. And I continue to follow that type of leadership. That's the type of leaders I want to represent. That's the type of leaders I want to be like. And he has an honest and true reason why this team is still standing, and why this team exists, and what this team has done for the country. So my question is why are we being punished for doing good for our country? And we're still waiting for answers on that. And I'm a strong believer that the good will always prevail, and I'm a strong believer that the reward will come our way as long as we continue to stay true to our beliefs. So we continue to fight what we stand for, and I mean that's for the good of Canadian soccer.
Obviously, an issue like this, and Canadian fans are very passionate, as you know from playing with the national team for so many years. It's had a mixed reaction. There's some people that think it's terrible. There's some people that think it's a good decision because you should be playing it in the CPL. I know you've talked about this before, other folks talked about it, but why for Ottawa, or why for you even, do you feel that the USL is the better option for Ottawa right now?
I think from our experience in the USL, I mean, it's such a great business model. It's a great league, and it continues to expand and flourish, and it's something to be proud of because you see the results that come our way out of this. And ever since we've been in this league, I mean, you could see the type of players we've sent off in better environments, and we continue to help the men's national team from the youth and to the senior levels. We continue to show our support to the Canadian MLS teams who send the players our way to get the minutes that they need. And playing in a league that, such as the USL, it allows these guys to get a chance to play at a very competitive level. So for us, it just makes sense to continue to stay involved with the USL. But I mean, as we're doing that, and as this league is continuing to be the fastest growing second division league in the world, we will continue to do our research with the CPL. And believe me, I mean, for what the CPL has done, this is also great for the game in Canada. We're big supporters of that. We've shown our support, and we're happy with what they're doing. But we will continue to do due diligence and before we make any type of decisions. But I mean, we are very happy right now with the idea of being in the USL. So if I put myself, if I was a 20-year-old or a 23-year-old, and if I needed the minutes to make that next step or make that jump to a men's national team or to be back in a MLS team and play, this is what I would want to be involved in. This is the direction I want to be in. I want to be in a safe environment that allows me to continue to grow as a young professional to reach the goals I need. And that's something that we've proved, last season and the season before. And, this is our strong intentions for the rest of the way as long as we're involved in the USL. So the USL have done a fantastic job, and I strongly believe, we will have our strong intentions to continue to playing in the USL.
Just the very last thing, Julian. Obviously, there's a lot still to get sorted out, and you don't want to contemplate kind of the worst case scenario. But if things don't get sorted out quickly, or CONCACAF don't change your mind, I mean, is it too early to say what 2019 would look like? Would you be forced to go into the CPL? Would you want to take a year out? Would you maybe speak to the Impact about maybe officially becoming Impact's second team so that you can maybe stay in the USL that way?
We haven't even gone that far in thought, to be honest. I mean, our strong intentions is not to have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And we're super focused on the things we need to do to continue to play in the USL for 2019. So, I mean, we hope that this is resolved again as soon as possible, so we could continue our pathway and our plans for the Fury. But we haven't even gone that far in terms of what that would look like. So, we'll continue with our game plan, and we'll take a course of action until we learn more.
That's great. Thank you so much for your time today, Julian. I hope everything gets sorted out really, really quickly for you, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Fury seems to be the theme of the show tonight. That was Julian de Guzman there talking about the Ottawa Fury situation. So just to reiterate, that was recorded literally about 10 minutes before CONCACAF sent out their clarification of stuff, which Ottawa had said that they hadn't got. There's a lot of layers to this story, as Zach's been saying. Just before we go to break, and we'll debate this in part 3, what was your thoughts, just quickly, initial thoughts on what Julian said there? He said he was shocked, and he did look shocked when he did the video, I felt, on Wednesday.
No, but that's this being disingenuous to the extreme, that they're shocked that this is happening. They knew this, maybe not this was going to happen for sure. They definitely knew this was a possibility. We talked about this in October.
Yes.
They basically...
This is what I mentioned to him.
Yeah, they basically challenged people saying, like, call or bluff kind of thing, right? They're like, you haven't fished this, we're moving ahead, and now we're going to try and make you look like the bad guys in this, because if you pull the plug at the last minute, you look stupid, and we've done everything we should have, and what, like, he's not surprised. The other guy you spoke to there, his name's
Mark Goudie.
Yeah, him, Mark. He too. Again, there's things that he said there that are just the way they're shaping in that interview and in the media stuff, the articles that have gone out. The way they're shaping their relationship with the CPL is also extremely disingenuous. They make it sound like they are consultants for the CPL, trying to help them get off to a good start and all that kind of stuff. That's not true at all. They were at the table.
So you've heard.
They were
I've
at the table.
Things.
Yeah, they were at the table to be a part of the CPL. They weren't there to, like, hey, we'll give you some advice on how you should go about this, or we'll give you some perspective on basically what we've done. They were at the table to be a part of the CPL and walked away from that in July for some very specific reasons.
Well, we'll get into that and a lot more after this.
I'm David Edgar, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
To Wolfie, Barney, the Count and Joggy. Come on everybody, step up to the hockey and have a throw. Just let it go. Shout to Bobby George and Eric Bristow. In the 80s, it was all about bullseye. I saw it on TV, so I gave it a try. I guess a new dad board every birthday. When I grows up, I wanna be Tony O'Shea.
Rotenda finished 8-8.
Lose yourself to dance.
4-4.
Lose yourself to dance.
2-2.
Lose yourself to dance.
1-1.
Goldie looking Shane there. We haven't had them on the show for a little while, so I've had some Scottish rap, some Welsh rap, maybe get some Canadian rap coming up next. Steve's got the next couple of selections. Let's see what he's got in store.
No rap.
Okay.
Because I know when to put the Canadian rap. Yeah, we're gonna stop it right there.
There's
decent, better than that. Welsh and Scottish.
You were saying Mad Hat McGore doesn't sound like rap.
It doesn't sound like it. Just sounds like a guy talking.
Isn't that not all rap?
No.
Huh. Anyway, you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. Losing Yourself to Darts was the song from Goldie Lukenshane. The Darts World Championships started on Thursday, so that's me pretty much out for the rest of the year watching
Did they show it live on Sportsnet?
No, it's on DAZN.
The Sportsnet is showing the old stuff?
Yeah, that's old.
Okay.
So
because I was watching a match
at only on DAZN.
I was watching a match at work, and there was one guy that was just like couldn't hit anything to end the game. He had so many chances, and he just got caught up at.
It's nerves. It gets to you. The tension. 10,000 folks screaming at you. There was an incident yesterday where Michael Van Gerwen, someone threw beer at him during the walk-on, so he had to go and change his shirt and stuff.
I'm just amazed that
passion.
I'm just in England. You got it's such an extreme where you have the guys that are like top of the noble class, and they're so prim and proper. And then you got the people at darts, and they're just like completely like it's like a manic place where people are going crazy.
It's fantastic entertainment. If you haven't seen it, check out DAZN live. I'm 2 sessions behind because I've had to spend time with my wife this weekend. I hadn't planned to, but she went for the ferry on Friday, and the ferry she went to happened to get cancelled with a storm, so I've been stuck with her all weekend. Sorry, I've had a wonderful weekend with her, a bonus.
I'm sure she'll enjoy that when you edit the show with her.
Yeah. I got to play darts last night at a Christmas party. It was quite fun. I'm terrible, but it was quite fun.
Did you get 3 in a bed? Did you kiss the lipstick?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think
Those are darts terms.
Is that triple 20 or something?
3 in a bed's just 3 in any one thing,
gotcha.
so it could be any triple or double.
Okay.
But anyway.
Well, I think I got at least
you did.
Triple.
No.
And double. I did, yeah.
Oh, 1, not 3.
Oh, not 3 in a row.
No.
Oh, yeah, no.
Now, I'm pretty sure out in Ottawa just now, there's a lot of folk got their dartboards and they've maybe got a CONCACAF sign on it or Victor Montagliani's face or something like that.
And it seems like the rest of Canada has Ottawa
Yes.
darts. Who would have Ottawa.
I've brought my Ottawa Fury coin that we got as a gift from Yerky. He sent us that, so I brought that as solidarity. Because if you listen to the Julian de Guzman interview, I'll admit it was very one-sided, it was very biased on my part because it fits the narrative that I believe in. So for balance, we are going to debate the situation in this part. Zach, myself, Steve. First question, really. How have things been allowed to get to this mess?
Yeah, that's a good question because it allows us to talk about, I think, some of the foundation of this. And obviously, there is a deep longing for a resurgence and a expansion to the club game in Canada, with the effort to develop players, to grow the player pool, to provide better pathways to professionalism, all that kind of stuff. So I think this goes back years, right, to the Easton Report. I think is where the idea for it's now time to have a proper nationwide domestic club league. Because it's been like decades, right, since there was one.
Yeah.
So I think at a base level, I think we would all agree that a country, Canada or any other country, if they want to have football meaningful in their country, they should have their own domestic league. Will we all agree with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're all on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
There.
Oh, we'll get to that later in the show.
Yes, I'm sure we will.
So that's been like a long desire. So then there are. How do you get there? Because you're not coming from a total clean slate. You're coming from a situation where you have multiple teams, multiple clubs who are playing in existing American leagues. So how do you get there? And so I think the formation of the Canadian Premier League, which came out of that report, which is something the CSA said, yes, this is a priority for us. Yes, I know you will bring this up later, but yes, the Victor Montagliani, when he was in charge of the CSA, was a big part of that. And I think one of the things that needs to be said, and this will come up a little bit later on, is the governing body in a country really needs to be the ones who are looking out for what's best for the development of players and the sport in the country, and have a significant role in the league. Now, in most countries, the league is a bit of a separate entity, but there is a relationship between the federation and the league, right? Think about the FA and the EPL in England, the Bundesliga and the DFB in Germany, right? They're separate things, but there is a close connection, and they have to work together, right? So for me, the CSA needs to be kind of like the gatekeepers to things. They need to be the ones who ensure that things happen in the right way. Now, I'll be the first to admit, the CSA has not always done this very well. Going back 15 years. The whole Voyageurs sack the CSA movement that happened because everyone felt that they were so poor in what they were doing and how they were doing it. I think Julian even alluded to it in your indirectly in your interview.
Yeah.
He said, I've seen the inside of how these people operate, and it hasn't been good, and that's a legitimate criticism. However, I do also feel that they have improved. Are they perfect? Are they striving for excellence in all the ways they should? Okay, maybe not, but they definitely have improved. And I think the desire to have their own, for the country to have its own league, I think is a step in the right direction. Now, to do that, and to do that with the different teams and the different American leagues, you need to you as the gatekeepers or whatever need to be able to say, this is how things move forward. This is how this is going to move forward. Okay, so how that's played out is they've said, okay, MLS teams are grandfathered or exempt because of their history, whatever. I don't know the exact reasons they've given or whatever. But now they've said a number of years ago, this is not like this year, this is not like last year, years ago, they've said, we are not going to allow teams to continue to play in American leagues or to start to play in American leagues. And so teams have to get an annual exemption to do so. On top of that, the CSA can't act unilaterally on their own. Obviously, they ought to work with the USF on this because it impacts them. Also, the CSA is a member of CONCACAF and a member of FIFA. And those two organizations also have to approve these things or say that they're okay with them. So this is not a CSA only decision or a USSF only decision, right? So there are layers to this, okay? So I think that it's important that the CSA said we want to have a league. Now I know one of the things about the league is, okay, what level is it starting at and all that kind of stuff. Is it where it should be? And all those are conversations we'll continue to have over the months ahead. But it's a starting thing, and it's wherever it starts, however low or however high it starts, it needs to have a good start so that it can grow. And my initial concern about this whole situation with the Ottawa Fury is that this is not helpful for the furtherment of club football in Canada, and this is also a continuation of the problem we see in Canadian football, with individuals or individual clubs looking out for their own best interest and not looking out for the holistic long-term best interest of the game in the country.
In a lot of ways, it's understandable, but right now, as you say, no one looks good in this situation at all. The CONCACAF statement, which they issued then on Thursday, basically said they've not received any sanctioning request from the CSA or from Ottawa.
Or from the Americans.
Or from the Americans,
yes. Right, it's implied, also not from the Americans.
And basically, again, it's implied as opposed to written, they feel that there is a level Canadian league for the Canadian team to play in. Now, that opens a number of other questions,
right,
such as MLS is seen as Div 1, Tier 1, whatever you want to call it. CPL, they've talked that they want to be on a par with MLS. They want to be Tier 1. And in Canada, they obviously are the Tier 1 league.
Yeah. Again, it's obviously we're comparing them because of the situation, but every country's Division 1 or top league doesn't mean that it's the same as their neighboring country, right? So you know, Scotland, is the Scottish Premier League the same as the English Premier League? No,
way better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's something we can agree on.
Yeah, and the Welsh one's better as well.
But
so how come Swansea and Cardiff get to play in that then?
Right, because they've got exemptions.
Yes,
from the FA that has to be approved by UEFA, that has to be okayed by FIFA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just being facetious there, obviously, but. It's where the CPL fits into this, because realistically they are looking like they're on a par with USL right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of people argue it's below. Yeah,
I would argue that. I would feel, looking at the players initially announced, which we can't go into too much because we obviously said it's only mid-December for the Whitecaps, so
it's the same thing. Yeah,
it's exactly the same thing.
Or sorry, similar thing, but
it does not look a quality. It looks good, but it's not top quality.
Yeah, because you can't. This is like an initial year in the league. This is basically, and I was watching it because they were playing it on the TSN for some reason. An old, I think it was MLS Cup final between DC and Colorado, way back in the day, and it looked like really bad. The whole setup. They had half times where it was counting backwards. like first half from 45 to like
Yeah.
0.
Well, the first MLS game I went to was in 97, and this is unrecognizable now.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, when you start off with a league, you're not expecting it to be... Well, I never expected it to be like this top league that everybody was talking about, but they can build to that eventually.
So that's why quality of play can't, and maybe I'm going to regret saying this in a few minutes, quality of play can't be a part of this conversation. It's what the tier is or whatever. Understanding that there are exemptions that have been made.
Yes.
Right? So what CONCACAF is saying is, look, there's the tier you should be in is available in your country, is essentially what they're saying. They're not talking about quality.
Yep.
They're saying for what you are, you should be in this level in your own country.
And Ottawa's argument for that is they're in an established league. They're happy. It's secure. They've not got any worries. Like right now, no one really knows. Obviously, there's going to have been talks behind the scenes, but publicly, no one knows the salary cap in CPL. No one knows what the travel costs are going to be, whether this airline partner that everyone's talked about or not. For Ottawa, flying from Ottawa to, say, Victoria, it's going to cost them way more, you have to feel, than going to, say, Cincinnati this year as an example, or one of the Florida teams maybe even as well. So you've got that aspect. So that's what Ottawa are saying is it's an established league. They're happy with it. They like the business model. It's secure for them and their investment.
And so it's okay for them to feel that way, but it's also okay for the governing bodies to say that doesn't fit into our evaluation of how we do this.
Do you not see though that with Victor Montagliani being head of CONCACAF and being one of the guys that really spearheaded the CPL, it's not a good look.
I know how it's being painted.
No, but why wouldn't it be a good look? If he's a proponent of CPL, he should be doing everything for the CPL.
I'm not saying in that sense, but the CPL and all this kind of come off a little bit clean because they're not mentioned. It's not them that's challenging.
Well, technically it's not, though, Michael.
I know it's not. That's what I'm saying. So,
and we'll talk about the CPL's feeling about this in a minute.
Looking at it, they come across clean in some sense in that they're not officially mentioned in the CONCACAF release. Canada Soccer's not saying, it's the CPL that's got the big problem. Ottawa's not really coming out and saying, it's the CPL that's causing this. So the CPL have kind of come off this quite
that's the
clean. In some quarters.
Well, the problem is everyone in the Canadian club game is getting smattered with this.
Yes.
This is going to be negative for everyone.
That's the worry, because I have seen a lot of stuff in social media and online very critical of the CPL. And we're big proponents of the CPL. I want to say that right away. We want the CPL to succeed. Zach, more than anyone from the three of us, probably. Would you agree?
No, I wanted
you too,
to
more
succeed.
Yeah, I wanted to succeed as well, but Zach's been heavily involved in meetings and talks and stuff.
Heavily? Is that because I'm heavy? Or?
We're not fattest.
No, but the thing is, the people blaming CPL doesn't make sense either, because why would you, like, that's saying, like, if something goes on in the French league, that it would be EPL's fault. Like, it's two different leagues. Like, why would it involve, or the Welsh league for some reason? If the Welsh wanted their Cardiff or one of the teams back, I know. I mean, it would be the FA that would want it. It wouldn't be the league.
But people are just reading between the lines and saying, it's the CPL
Stop
that
reading
have
between the
pressured
lines.
Victor into issuing this.
Sometimes the obvious solution is the one that's right in front of you.
I don't think Victor Montagliani is easily pressured into doing something that he doesn't believe in.
No, I don't either.
But here's the thing. My concern about this is kind of what I think I said before the break, is that basically Ottawa knew that when they walked away from being a part of the CPL in July, when they all of a sudden said, no, we don't want to be part of this now in July, that they knew that they needed not just sanctioning from CSA, not just sanctioning from the USF. They knew they needed CONCACAF's permission for this. Now, who's supposed to file paperwork?
That's the big question that no one's been able to answer, because the CSA I've read a couple of things of people reaching out to the CSA. I haven't, because I haven't had time. But it looks like I'd have got the same response anyway, which is no one was wanting to talk about it on Friday.
Right. So regardless of that, Ottawa Fury knew that they needed that sanctioning, and without securing that to then publicly go ahead in the ways that they did, to me, that is where the fault lies in this negative situation. Even if you think the CONCACAF's wrong or that they should be able to do what they want, it's their money or whatever, the fault is with Ottawa for this in me, and they are the ones who have caused the problem.
Well, the thing is, and we talked about it in October, like we said before. The person I talked to back east, their main thing was they were surprised that Ottawa was so flippant about, like, oh yeah, they're going to be in USL, no problem. They were going, no, this is not a done deal. They actually told me that CONCACAF was the one that was going to decide whether they're going into that league.
I heard the same as Steve.
Yeah.
USL issued their conference alignment this week as well, and they've got Ottawa in it, so they're fully still expecting them to be part of that.
So again, if you're the USL, you know what's required.
Yeah.
Why would you proceed on assumptions?
That's the big question. It's like, who should have filed it? Should it have been the CSA? Should it have been the USL? Should it have been Ottawa?
So you can be Ottawa or the USL and be angry right now, but I'm sorry, it's your own fault that you didn't secure what you know is required.
Yeah, if you don't fill out the paperwork, if we, like, for example, like if we're filling out our taxes and we're not filling it out on time and we are owing money, it's not the revenue's fault. It's our fault. For
Devil's advocate, though, if it's not Ottawa themselves that's to file it, and they're expecting the league or one of the governing bodies to do it,
they should be mad at them.
Then Ottawa is the innocent party in this as well.
Well,
they could be, but however, they know that without that sanctioning, they can't move forward. So if they don't do everything to ensure that that's happening,
why would you expect it not to be filed when it has been in 17 and 18?
I'll do the same tax thing. If you have an accountant who's filing taxes for you and he doesn't do it properly, whose fault does it become? The person. No, it isn't. It's the person who's I
would be going around and hitting him with a guitar.
He's probably off to Brazil.
I've got previous in that.
Michael, there's no way that any organization would move forward in the ways that they have without things being done. And that to me,
the fact it's been a big surprise, Ottawa are saying, makes you think that they thought this was all done.
No, but that's false. That's public. That's for the public.
Okay, we're gonna have to wrap this up. Is there any solution that you see to this? That would be
the courts. It's going to go to the courts.
Well, then I think there might be a problem with FIFA.
Oh yeah, then you're going to have a big issue with FIFA. Ottawa, they'll shut Ottawa down in a second.
So a couple of things. One of the things I know you've talked about before, because you're concerned about. Also, you're concerned about the ripples of this, right?
Yes. For PDL, yes. TSS,
and I agree. I think some of those PDL sides are safe while there's not some kind of equivalent.
Yeah, the Western ones. So you're looking at probably Winnipeg, but with Winnipeg not having a team in CPL, who knows? But definitely Calgary Foothills, Victoria, TSS Rovers, Thunder Bay probably because of the distance.
Yeah, they're going to be safe.
Because League One Ontario teams didn't want to travel to Thunder Bay, which I'm surprised it's like a 20-minute bus journey.
Yeah,
but yeah, KW United didn't play this PDL season because of League One Ontario was on their doorstep.
Because CSA or whoever said to them, you need to be in this. This is the appropriate league in our country now for you.
Definitely.
So again, another reason not to be surprised.
Yeah.
So I know people who don't like the CSA or don't like CONCACAF or whatever. It's easy to pile on them, but for me, this goes back to the Fury and then the USL. The USL should have known better. In terms of the money, Michael, I know you the money, and Colin. I saw Colin Elms, I believe, tweet about this, saying who's going to recompensate or whatever. Well, with the Ottawa Fury, if they needed to, whether they are going to, because I see their options as this: playing CPL, which I don't think. Lots of fans of the CPL, I don't think, want a team that doesn't want to be there. You talk about not wanting a player who doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I understand that fully.
And I don't know if CPL wants them in this state at this point. So CPL is one option. A hiatus like Edmonton took is another option. Folding is another option, and then there's your favorite.
Yeah.
Well, I have another option too.
They
can actually sell their franchise.
That's what I was going to say.
To a team in America and recoup the money that way too. That you were talking about.
This was what I was going to say. I was going to say after you said yours. But if people are worried about the money, a USL team just franchise or whatever the language is, just went for $7 million.
Yes.
Which I'm pretty sure the Ottawa Fury didn't pay $7 million to get into the league.
So I mean, they will they'll make money if they wanted to do that. The option that I could see them going down, and I mentioned it to Julian as a question, is right now, MLS 2 teams are allowed to play in USL. Now, Ottawa's not an MLS 2 team, but they are the official affiliate of Montreal. They could officially rebrand to be Montreal's second team, even just for a season, still calling themselves the Ottawa Fury, just like Swope Park Rangers is Sporting KC's team. Yes, it's a loophole and a way around it. If it was still turned down, and then they said, okay, then we'll join the CPL. The CPL have indicated they don't want MLS 2 teams in the league. What they're going to do, they're going to say to Ottawa, oh no, we don't want you now because you're an MLS 2 team.
No, then again, I think the CSA and potentially CONCACAF would have the CSA first would have a role in that, because the CSA does not. I think the CSA and the CPL, for obvious reasons, do not want a second team.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I'm not 100% averse to it.
I think at a launch, it's more than not ideal.
But the thing is,
at a launch, no. But down the line,
you're saying that Ottawa can turn into Montreal 2 or whatever you want to call it. Don't they have to get sanctioning for that in order to do that? And then that can be blocked as well. So I don't think that's a 100% guarantee.
No, that's not a guarantee either. No. I can see it going to the courts, which, as you say, won't be good. They're going to take it. If CONCACAF say no, the next step would be FIFA.
If Ottawa takes it to the courts, if FIFA comes on to CSA and say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They will come on to USSF and say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And we have a 2026 World Cup happening. And they're going to say, do you really want to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it you who tweeted that? Someone tweeted something about as soon as, or no, actually, I think it was a friend who messaged me and just said, as soon as Ottawa's lawyers begin to tell them where this is going, they're going to soften up pretty quickly to other ideas than what their ideal is.
There's no denying it's a mess. Passions are high throughout Canadian soccer circles about it. There's fault on both sides, I feel. I can't see an easy solution for it. Julian talked about he wants it sorted out quickly. This is going to drag on. That's why I asked him, is there a time limit on this? Because at some point, the USL season has to plan accordingly. You do not want a team dropping out a week, a couple of days before the season starts. So there's a lot more mileage in this. We'll have a lot more chat on it. We'll have people from both sides as well to talk about this in the coming weeks.
We'll see if Julian gets what Julian wants.
Let's hope he does. And we'll be back with more chat after this.
Hey, I'm Brett Levis, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM. Tell us what that song was, Steve.
It was a song from, I think it was Ocean's 12.
Ocean's 12.
Yeah.
It didn't sound rappy.
No.
It was more Latin.
It's Christmas time. It's time for rapping.
Well, it was actually a nice Christmas tradition I have where I watch Ocean's, the trilogy of Ocean's.
Nice. You already watched
11.
it?
Yeah, I watched it today.
Oh.
It's not really a Christmas. It's just on TV.
At your house?
It was on TV. I decided to watch it.
At your house?
Yes.
Okay.
I went to see the Grinch last Monday.
Yeah, how was that?
Sad tale of a young Scottish guy that's forced into conformity by the end of the film and having to bow down to social pressures.
So your life story?
I forgot to tweet you out. They actually did like a musical Christmas Carol on TV.
Yes. Oh,
did you see on TV?
There's a film.
No, they actually did it like it was a stage.
Like a live one?
It was a stage play. I forgot to tweet you.
I've seen a musical version.
I went with my kids to see Into the Spider-Verse. Have you seen it yet?
I obviously watched it. So.
I saw the trailer for it.
Yeah.
I like the pig.
Yeah,
he sounds fun.
No, it was not bad.
It was good.
I'm
going to watch it probably.
I'd say the first
sometime this week.
First 85 to 90% of the Grinch was great fun. Then it just got pretty crappy
at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No spoilers.
Okay.
Killing Santa Claus was a bit of a stretch, but I was rooting for him. There was just 5 of us in the cinema watching it.
Well, you probably went on a Monday morning or something.
Monday afternoon.
Oh, there you go.
Avoid the kids. It's my idea for all of Christmas. And someone else that avoided kids this year, it felt, was the Whitecaps and their MLS squad.
Do we really have to do this?
Except for Alfonso.
We wanted to get our year in review wrapped up before the Christmas special and New Year special.
Okay.
If there is a Christmas special and New Year special.
I didn't think this was going to be the most painful part of tonight, but it's feeling that way now.
We'll rattle through it. We're going to have a look at August, September and October. September. We're also going to talk about August and October, but that was Peter and the Test Tube Babies. You a fan of them, Zach?
What now?
You a fan of Test Tube Babies and Peter in particular?
Oh, man.
I was going to talk about one of their other songs.
No, don't.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah, I'll tell you at the break. Google them. Anyway, yeah, September they were talking about. That was a bad month. So let's start a good month. August was actually a pretty good month for the Whitecaps. 2 wins, 2 draws against strong teams. That included a very commendable 2-2 draw at New York City with 2 really good goals. One from Nicolas Mosqueda, one from Erik Hurtado. Where are they now?
They're on holidays.
Trade bait. Then, what was my match of the year? I think I can't remember if you guys agreed or not, so I wasn't 100% sure. I couldn't remember.
It was a good one.
Yeah. The unexpected, because it was, 2-1 win at Piggy Park against Portland.
Where Stefan Marunovic did not save a penalty from Diego Valeri.
No.
Because Valeri missed the net.
I cut that out of the podcast.
Oh.
No one knows you made that mistake until just now. I'll leave this one in.
No, but the thing is about this one, those 2 weeks, was that after the New York game, everybody had them done and dusted.
Yeah, I did.
And then Portland happens, and everybody starts going, oh, maybe they do have a chance.
You had them done and dusted in April.
Yeah.
I think I had it after the Colorado game where they lost.
I don't know. Me and
Canada
the Whitecaps seem to have some kind of polar complexity going on. What's the word I'm looking for? Bipolar,
Yeah.
that's it. Yes. You're just looking at me strangely. But yeah, me and the Whitecaps seem to have some kind of bipolar thing going on. They lose, I think it's the end of the world, and that's the season done. Next week they win, I'm like, yep, we're in the playoffs.
No, I might be wrong, but that does sound similar to, I think, most of the people who follow the team.
Possibly. I'm just used to that with East Fife, though. It's like we have more ups and downs and a roller coaster sometimes with our teams. But the Caps win in Portland was fantastic because it ended a 15-match unbeaten run by Portland. 2 goals in the first half. Kei Kamara with the opener, which was a header from the edge of the box. You should never be able to score a looping header from the edge of the box. Jeff Attinella, not for the first time that we're going to have seen the rest of the season or the last either.
Yeah, they're not going to make a statue of him.
No, horrible goalkeeping. And then allowing Christian Teixeira to get a header.
Yeah, what a great goal.
Yeah. Where is he now?
On vacation. They're on vacation.
Yeah. All these guys.
Kai's, I think, in Sierra Leone.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. So many people I've spoken to for our Christmas show next week are no longer part of the Whitecaps. It's like a farewell tour.
Because they blew up the squad.
No, because they spoke to us on the show, I was starting to think. So Russell Tybert better watch out because he's on it. He's, I think, the only current player that's going to be on the show.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
I don't think so either. After that win in Portland, but they were hanging on a little bit to the end. They were going for voodoo donuts. Kai was going to treat them to voodoo donuts.
Hey, you should ask Rusty, just while I'm thinking about it, you should ask him at the beginning of the year, which was the other 1 or 2 guys who played for the Crest last year, so we know which guys who were remaining that didn't play for the Crest.
And who we should support. Now, after the Portland win, there was a draw at home to Red Bulls. It's disappointing, obviously, to drop points at home, but it was against a good Red Bulls team.
I think it was 2-2.
Yeah, it was. Who would have thought we'd have drawn 2-2? Then we won at San Jose to round off the month. Now, the New York game, Kendall, who I talked about, I felt could have got a lot more goals over the course of the season, got 2 in that game. Right. But then we threw away another 2 points at home when Daniel Royer got his own second goal in the 90th minute. And it's those games, and I know we talked about this before, every team can do it. You pinpoint the points lost that cost you whatever. That's another one of those games.
Dropping points to Dead Bull never feels good.
It's just frustrating when you can look at these games and you know you should have had 3.
Yeah.
And that's all we needed was just a couple more points to get us in the playoffs. There's also, in August, you said I didn't talk about this last week, so I put this in especially for you. Voyageurs Cup final. Let's move on.
I found out. Remember, I found out about this in October.
Yeah,
yeah, that was so funny.
I'm glad we didn't spoil it for you. Just
Yeah.
now.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I
okay,
saw the game, man.
The first leg was like go again. It was just like the Dead Bull game.
2-2.
No, but it was going so well.
Yes.
And unfortunate Daniel Henry's own goal.
Yeah, he broke his hand on the play too. Oh no, afterwards.
That was after.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was just like soul crushing. Like it was.
I think he was angry that he'd found a band in the lobby.
Watching Zach try to figure out what that meant was.
Sorry, just like I just.
You're thinking, what an innuendo does he mean from that?
No, I was like, what happened? I didn't realize you were talking about earlier this evening for a moment.
Callback.
Yes.
No, but yeah.
Is your hand okay?
It was a
Sex license.
it was a game where it seemed like they had it in control a little bit, but then like I said, last second, and it was a weird own goal too. That it just I don't know, it was awful.
Well, yeah, he forgets what team he's playing on, and that's what the jokes on Twitter were.
That's twice he broke my heart at that goal. Yeah. Remember that goal against Carducci in the semifinal years ago,
right.
And then that,
we didn't have to worry about being in it in the second leg.
Well, I think they had to go for the goals, and I think that just left them wide open at the back. And I think that was probably what was.
They scored a couple goals.
They did.
After being were they 5 down when they got their first?
No,
I was watching it in
was
bed.
It 4-1?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Did you even watch it at the end?
No, I did.
Okay.
I was down Newport watching it in bed.
Oh, I remember we were tweeting.
Yeah.
Five past.
I was tweeting you from bed again.
I was in the Okanagan. That's why I never got to watch it. We were on the beach.
7-4 in aggregate was the end. Let's just quickly.
That's close.
Yeah. So September kicked off with a win at home to San Jose.
Can I just say one thing? This was also one of the positive things that Mark DeSantis said when he met with supporters is that he does not intend to do full squad rotations for Voyageurs Cup games.
Yes.
Which I thought was.
I'm very happy with that.
I thought that was it was nice to
guarantee
hear.
that we're not going to have a 6-1 result.
September, though, kicked off with another win at home to San Jose. We did our back-to-backs over the Quakes, although we did make it a little bit more difficult in the 2 games than we maybe should have. But we were unbeaten in 6 by that point, with 4 wins. I was starting to feel confident in us. I thought, yep, we've turned it around. No summer slump. How did it all go to shit? I mean, that's the big question.
Because
what happened?
They took a week off. They got rusty.
Well, we had him the
Not
whole
rusty,
season.
rusty.
Okay.
Small R.
That bye week seemed to kill our momentum, if you believe in momentum.
Was just
Mark Weber doesn't.
Why was that a bye week? I can't even remember.
It was the international break.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Because we played on the
every
Labor Day.
one
We played
didn't
Labor Day
play
weekend.
through, yeah.
Every international break we came back from was disastrous because we were actually playing really
so
well
were the
going
ones we played through, which we'll come to next month.
We played really well going into it, and then we coming out of it, it was just horrendous.
3 straight losses after that break. 2-1 at home to Seattle, 2-1 at home to Dallas, 3-0 away to LA. We should have won the Seattle match.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Stung by another late goal, 87th minute, Matt Hedges in the Dallas game.
And that was
some ridiculous penalties in those games as well, given away.
That was the end of Rabo, right?
Yes. Yeah, the Dallas game was the end of an era. Carl Robinson's time was over. We're not going to delve into that too much because obviously we talked about it at the time. The timing did seem strange in some ways. I can see it not in others. Does it make any more sense to you now? Was it the right time to let him go? To try and do something to salvage it?
No, I don't think. I personally don't think they were even trying to salvage it. That's probably the face they were trying to put on. But I think it was more that they wanted to get the coach that they were interested in, and they didn't want to start officially negotiating. They might have been doing some back channel negotiation, which happens a lot.
No,
in a lot of sports.
Yes.
Come on.
Where they talk to somebody, a friend of a friend of a friend, that a friend with that coach, but they officially they couldn't talk until they had let go Robbo go.
No, but they were talking to people. Like
They were talking to people that knew the people. That's what that happens a lot.
Yes.
And you can't
Do not
you
cast
can't confirm.
aspersions on the front office. We got a tweet tonight, which I've left my phone at home, so I can't read it.
Great.
That mentioned that you need to stop going on about the front office, Zach, with your tinfoil hat.
Yeah, sure, I will when they start acting the way they should. No, I mean the Mark DeSantis thing was on the cards well before this. Not just replacing Robbo, but Mark DeSantis.
Yeah, we talked about it in April.
Yes,
That was more wishful thinking,
and other
that.
people talked about it not that long after that.
Yeah.
The other thing that maybe we won't talk about a great deal, but there was that article by J.J. Abrams or whatever that
Adams.
Well, it wasn't
Adams.
J.J. Abrams.
Sorry, J.J. I'm sorry. JJ,
He's
the
busy.
article
He's busy filming episode 9.
where he talked about some of the things that I think
He said the Cats were lost.
he talked about the conversations maybe that were happening between the Vancouver FO ownership and Don Garber or whatever, and that was literally the Dallas game was a week after that.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was here for the Seattle game, I believe.
That's right.
Yes.
And so, yeah, interesting timing. How that I wonder if there's any correlation to.
I'm still doing my
to that.
car journey with the Don, actually. He's never lives up to that. But yeah, Robbo went. Craig Dalrymple put in temporary charge. Started off with that loss in LA. Then, unbelievably, in some senses, mostly unbelievably, I just didn't see this coming. Shock 2-1 win in Toronto. That not only gave us more playoff hope, it ended TFC's.
Yeah, Toronto did not see it coming.
That was a double whammy.
And then we should have got I still think we should have got a trophy for that, for ending their playoffs.
Trophy?
Some kind of trophy.
Just from the other MLS
like a
teams.
clean sheet?
Something.
A clean sheet of work?
Just folks saying thank you so much for not having to put up with TFC Army this year.
That was actually, just going back a minute, that was one of the things that also I didn't like about the Robbo ending, is there was never any real appreciation for his time with the club. I know it's one thing you're saying, okay, we're firing the guy, we don't want to go in that direction anymore, but there was never that they didn't like what they do with all the players, they do them with a number of other people. There was no like, hey, thanks Robbo for your time with the club. It wasn't until later on when Bobby started saying that on shows, after I'm pretty sure he got word from his communications people of like, hey, we need to take responsibility for this. We need to thank the past the past coach, whatever. There's nothing from them, which is kind of awkward when you think about how long someone was here and how much they contributed. Whether you appreciate everything of when they were here or not, it was just a little bit awkward.
Bobby did say in some interviews he did.
But
thank
that was
him.
after.
Yeah.
No, that was way after.
No, but it's very rare that you actually. I don't know if you're talking about a video tribute or something.
No, but even
it's
with
very-
that stupid infographic with like, hey, thanks, Robbo. Like,
you'd rarely do that
was
when
there
you.
nothing like that?
No,
but
absolutely nothing.
I'm sorry, but I've never seen that for a coach that got fired. If a coach leaves on his own or resigns or something like that or moves on, then you see that. If a coach gets fired, no, you don't see that.
Okay,
Never seen that.
Maybe not in Vancouver, maybe not in North America, but I've seen it in other places.
That's weird.
Well, especially with someone who's been. It's not like he was here a year or like he got fired during his first year.
Especially if it's like in the middle of the season, and it was a contentious firing, because obviously he didn't want to get fired and they wanted to fire him. So I don't see them putting out anything like a graphic or something like that. That seems very odd to me.
Anyways, there was no public appreciation for anything that he had done until after, when it was obviously they were trying to go back on some of the.
We were in the Dalrymple era at the time, though.
Yeah, and he got us with Again, he got our hopes up. This is the whole thing about the Whitecaps season.
But it wasn't Craig Dalrymple. As if you listen to him, it was the players.
It was the players. Because I blame the players for a lot of things, good and bad. The playoffs were in our own hands still. And that's been the thing over the course of the season. We had it in our own hands so many times. 3 wins, we were in the playoffs. So naturally, they go out and lose the first of those. Played during the international break, short-handed, took the lead, 1-0 at home to KC, and then the last half hour was... Because initially I'd said it was one of the worst performances this season, but then I thought it wasn't. It was that half hour
Yes.
was all that was terrible. In fact, not even the half hour, the last 15, 20 minutes was terrible.
It was after the 65th minute, essentially, when the window broke.
Yeah, I was watching on a very, very dodgy, low-quality bandwidth like in the valley at a thing, and yeah, it was not fun viewing that game.
No. 4-1 defeat. Season mathematically wasn't over, but it basically was. They needed a lot of extra help by that time. So, I mean, you knew it was over.
Yeah.
And then that was the start of all the team gave up, and Russell went after the team.
Yeah, he did say there were people that were, like, it was a different tone when he did it after
really
the Kansas City.
But
it was a different tone compared to the end of the season, where it was, I think he didn't need to go again there. I think he should have gone more to the other stuff, but I agree with you that that's where it started.
So one of the awkward things was, and we talked part of this at the time, is for me, Russell Tybert should not have been in there, having played the day before for Canada. The other thing is,
he was the only one going back on one of the goals too.
Yeah.
He was the only one actually rushing back to try to stop it.
I genuinely had no issues with that.
Okay, well, to me I said it before. But the other thing that's weird is I believe Danielle Henry, who was in that Canada squad, didn't play in the Canada game. And
the players were all asked, do you feel that you're capable of going? And Russell was like, yep.
Is that how it happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
He is Mr. Fit. Credible fighting 2-2 draw followed at LAFC, which just left you angry at what could have happened because it showed what this team is capable of. Then it was goodbye Fonzie, 2-1 win over the second stream Timbers, but we'll still take it. Season finished on a high, as they did the last time we didn't make the playoffs in 2016. I was glad it was over. I just wanted it to end by that point. But what were you left with in your mouth? What taste were you left with? Was it anger at not making it? Was it disappointed in knowing what this team could achieve? Or did you feel, no, we weren't good enough?
I was actually, at that point, once the season, I was relieved it was over, but overall for the whole season, and this is probably the worst thing for a team to have, is I felt indifferent at that point. And I think that's the worst thing for a club.
I think a lot of fans did.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
Because, and not to, I mean...
I felt like they were spinning their wheels at this point, and it was not a good thing.
You're going to say I'm putting on the tinfoil hat or whatever, but for me... and this is not. I'm not the only one expressing this opinion. But when you look at the MLS era, the changes that have happened have all been with players and coaches. And the thing that hasn't changed is the people making some of those bigger decisions in the front office, off the field. And I think that there are people, you're right, Steve, who are now indifferent or apathetic about things.
Yep.
And there was at the end of the season, there was a pretty significant outcry for there to be changes in the one place there hasn't been changes, and that's what I long for.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is the only way that'll happen is if things get worse. And I'm not one who really longs for things to get worse or for whatever, but if it brings about change, I don't think it would be a bad thing for Vancouver in the long run.
Well, there's still time. Who knows? But yeah, indifference, I think, is a good way of summing it up. November and December, we're not going to go over, but it's
because we're living it right now.
Yeah, man. It's been eventful, and you have to feel January is going to be even more eventful. So just before we finish this part, it's time for my favourite part of the show, is Wavelength time. And we're continuing our songs about players, and we're going back to our friends, pulled off at Halftime Oranges. Well, they're just called Halftime Oranges, but just thought I'd throw in the plug for our video series that's coming out next year. Yeah, this is a song called What's the Fuss About Ryan Giggs.
What's the fuss about Ryan Giggs? What's the fuss about Ryan Giggs? I've heard he smokes too many cigs. He's been in trouble with the pigs down there. What's the fuss about Ryan Giggs? What's the fuss about Ryan Giggs? His legs look like a pair of twigs. He cleans his boots with syrup and pigs and that's the price of fame. And that's the real price of fame. Do. There's no one else to blame. There's never anyone else to blame. What's the fuss about Ryan Giggs? What's the fuss about Ryan Giggs? He likes to wear fuss about Ryan Giggs? He hangs around with Ronnie Biggs. He goes to all the showbiz leagues and that's the price of fame. And that's the real price of fame. There's no one else to blame. There's never anyone else to blame. But it's true. It's true. So true. And that's the price of fame. And that's the real price of fame. There's no one else to blame. There's never anyone else to blame.
Hi, I'm Carl Robinson. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
You pulled the queen now, did ya? It's not the sweetest end. It's all coming to me now.
Welcome back to part 5 of the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM. What was that music, Steve?
That was Stranger by, I think it's pronounced Roco Code. They are a local Vancouver band, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wonder if they were one of the ones in the studio tonight.
No, they weren't.
Now, it's time for BC Soccer Web headlines. BC Soccer Web headlines is brought to you in partnership with bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for local, national and international news, stories, features and links. Make it part of your daily routine. Check it out, bcsoccerweb.com. What's been catching your eye on the site this week, Steve?
A few follow-ups. Let's start off with Barcelona is pulling out of their league game in the U.S. They have officially, La Liga has scrapped the plans
At
as
halftime?
Well. Huh? No, I don't know what you're doing. Oh, I get it. No, sorry. Callback. The club remains behind the idea for the game, but it did not intend to play the game in Miami against Girona because there was no consensus among all the stakeholders, which was the players' union, the FA, the FIFA, UEFA, all of them. It was basically the league. La Liga was on their own essentially against everybody. Another one.
That must mean they were getting the biggest check.
It seems like it. Qatar has gained a dentist. The former Icelandic coach Heimer Hal Grimson has been hired by Al Arabi to take over as their coach. Yeah, he was rumored. The reason I bring it up is because he was rumored to be in the running for the Vancouver Whitecaps job. We were told that he was actually attended a few games, especially I think the one in Toronto was mentioned.
Yep.
He's the guy that Frank Yalloped, right?
Well, no, they interview people. I don't understand why, like, if you interview somebody, they're guaranteed a job.
Well,
it makes no sense.
No, it's not about interviewing. It's about what you tell
Is
them.
brought to you by
They tell them that you like them, you're interested, but we're interviewing other people.
I thought it was a little more than that, Steve.
No, it wasn't.
It's
Not
like
by the person I was told.
It's like speed dating.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Club, that club that he's taken over last won a title in '97, and they've been previously. They've had some famous coaches. Gianfranco Zola was a former coach there, and Dan Petrescu. Chelsea, with the Raheem Sterling thing.
They've
suspended.
starting with them.
Yeah,
this
we'll
week.
start with they suspended 4 fans for now, but their police investigation is ongoing. But Chelsea supporters actually had more issues during the late last week or midweek.
Also,
this week,
one of the fans said
This
that he
week.
didn't say anything racist. He said mank and not black.
Okay. They were in Budapest for a Europa League game, and apparently they had an anti-Semitic chants going on. It's a Tottenham anti-chant or something like that.
Oh, right.
And then also there was an Instagram photo where they were waving a flag in Budapest of a
And blocking people's view?
There was a symbol of
ban them.
No, there was a symbol of an SS Totenkopf symbol.
Yes, death head.
Yeah, so that was on the flag itself, and they were displaying that on Instagram. So there is a chance that their next Europa League game could have less fans. Let's say
Closed doors?
Yeah, they said partial closure of seats.
Chelsea said they're confident that flag did not make it into the game.
Yes. But the funny thing is the owner is Jewish, so it's maybe they're going against the owner. I don't know what's going on.
The owner of the flag?
No, the
Abramovich?
owner of the team.
Okay.
Abramovich?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We talked about the Whitecaps transactions. Here's some MLS transactions that also occurred. Tim Parker re-signed by the Red Bulls.
He got his deal.
3-year deal, $700,000 to $800,000 per year. With rumored.
No, it's not rumored. I'm pretty sure that's reported, not rumored.
It's reported. Well, the people they haven't confirmed it. They're reporting it. Yeah,
but I believe the person who reported it was his agent.
Oh,
so
was it? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Did Waxman tweet it out?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I missed that.
People should follow Ron Waxman on Twitter.
Nah.
If you had issues with the whole Baldwin and Avid and Bass, you should follow Waxman on Twitter. The other thing
I have to say, Timmy's not worth that money, by the way.
Okay, but here's two things. One, just to reiterate, like you did the interview, you've said many times, he did not want to leave Vancouver. Two, the other thing that should be put out there, this is not the amount of money he was asking for in Vancouver. What he was asking for in Vancouver, which I was told at the time, and I've heard since the original thing happened, that what he was asking for Vancouver was considerably lower than this.
Well, good for him getting what he's got. And
Yeah, good for him,
genuinely
yeah.
good for him. He's a nice guy. I don't feel he is worth that money, though.
Another deal that happened in the league, LAFC dealt 2018 first overall pick, Yor Mutino, to Orlando for Mohamed El Munir.
Is that the guy
It's
who's
just basically an exchange of defenders.
Is that the guy who was battling with Jordan Harvey?
Yes.
So they got rid of, and they didn't take Harvey. Okay, so the new left back were the GOATs.
El Munir, I think he is a left back himself, so I think it was a defender for a defender. Zach Stefan, who you were touting for the Whitecaps, has signed a deal with Man City. But somebody wrote a thing that he might never ever play for Man City. I'm not
So because here's the thing, right? Is Man City the city football group around the world that has 3 or 4 teams or whatever? One of the teams they own, I believe, is the team you were talking about in Girona.
Yeah,
and so they own that as well. So what will likely happen is he'll get loaned out to like Girona or was it Melbourne City or whatever's the other one? Like he'll get loaned out somewhere where he's going to play.
That's they got to be careful about that because eventually, if FIFA changes their rules or whatever, or where they limit loans. The players they can loan out, that's going to obviously affect it down the road.
I expect him in Girona would be my guess.
A couple of staff signings as well. Caleb Porter is getting very close to signing with the Crew instead of the Galaxy, who was rumored with last week. And apparently it's in the final stages. It's been tweeted out. Ned Grabavoy has been named as technical director for Portland Timbers. And FC Dallas unveiled their new head coach on Sunday. They're promoting academy director Luchi Gonzalez to replace Oscar Pereira.
Oh, so he's got like a good year. Okay. Did anyone watch? I haven't watched it yet. The Greg Berhalter video on MLS.
No, I just see the picture every time I'm on the site.
So he's like got a video of him showing the tactics he wants to play with the United States. It seems a little counterproductive to put that kind of thing. I mean, I haven't watched it yet.
No, because Mark DeSantis wanted to show us the tactics if he'd got a whiteboard.
Yeah,
but we weren't posting it on the site.
Yeah, you weren't posting a video of like how you want your team to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It does seem a bit odd because the opposition will be like, hey, watch this.
Yeah.
It could be a smokescreen.
His former team, the Columbus Crew, the city of Columbus has approved funding for the new stadium and practice facility. They will be contributing $50 million towards that building of the downtown stadium.
So usually I'm not a fan of the public money or whatever. However, in this case, it's nice to see the city also saying, we value this football club. We want it in our community and we want it in a better place.
Stadium too.
Yeah.
we were big advocates of Save the Crew. If I'd known Caleb Porter was going to end up there, I would maybe not have been.
Well,
so
you can go
much
back
of
to
an
hating
advocate.
them now.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if we talked about last week, Steve, but where their current crappy stadium is 4 or plus miles outside of town, that's where they're going to tear that ugly thing down, and they're going to build all the practice facilities there.
Oh, nice.
That's what.
Hope they get a scoreboard that works.
It doesn't catch fire.
Yeah.
There's also now coming to Canada. There's been some CPL signings.
Yes.
Let's start off with York 9. They signed League One Ontario's Austin Ritchie.
Ritchie.
It's Ritchie.
Ritchie.
It's Ritchie if it's Canadian pronounced. Valor FC have signed an Englishman, Stephen Hoyle.
He can't stop scoring in, is it New Zealand?
Yeah, he's with Canterbury United.
They also added
tail to tail.
They also added a couple of Canadian youth internationals, Dylan Sacramento and Tyson Fargo.
Tyson Farrago's a keeper. I think he used to play for Edmonton. At some
Dylan
point.
Sacramento, I'm pretty sure played PDL because I seem to remember calling his name.
FC Edmonton also signed a bunch of players.
Yeah.
Number one, they signed a Korean, Son Young Chan, who apparently is like one of the fittest players they've ever seen in the workout.
He was in the York trials.
Yeah,
Yes.
he got the third highest
stats.
Yeah. Medical.
They also signed Bruno Zibi, Ajij Sakari, and Ajay Kabara. And you liked Sakari a lot.
Sakari was like really good for Alberta. Saw him in PDL as well.
University of Alberta.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not just Alberta in general.
Bruno is obviously brothers of Alan, who they
Yeah.
previously signed. So then I have a pair of brothers there.
Sakaria was with PDL with Calgary Foothills, and I'm pretty sure Tommy would have really liked to have brought him into.
I've heard him talk about
Calgary,
that.
but yeah.
I heard him talk about that, and like Tommy understood. I think.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. It's local.
Yeah.
Guys for local people.
Tommy's okay with the local players playing locally, right?
Yeah. He's not going to ruffle any feathers there.
No. He wouldn't do that.
Talking about Tommy, the Cavalry added 4 of their own players.
All Whitecaps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Goalkeeper Marco Carducci.
Well done, Marco.
So happy for
favorite
Marco.
of the show. Defender Chris Serban.
Favorite of mine, actually. I've been very high on him.
Center back Dominic Zator and a midfielder Elijah Adekube. Sounds familiar.
I wonder if he's related to...
Yeah, he is.
He very much so.
And I remember his first match, he actually, in residency, still remember to this day that he actually, I think, punched somebody. On
Really?
The opposition
Yes.
team. Yeah.
Is that why he didn't last?
I don't know.
Possible.
No, I'm pleased
Not,
for all
no,
of
he
them.
still played for a while there.
Because Elijah had
Then
a
he was at
really bad
Trinity.
injury and he missed the 2017 whole of the PDL
Right.
season. But some really good signings there from Cavalry. And Tommy had told me at the... No, if it wasn't Tommy, it was Martin Nash had told me at the Nationals they hope to maybe have about 8 players from that Foothills Championship.
So what are they up to now?
6,
I think, yeah.
Some more additional signings on other parts of the world. Ashley Lawrence, a Canadian women's national team member, signed with a new deal, multi-year deal with Paris Saint-Germain.
Way to go.
Also, some awards given out, obviously, at the end of the year by CSA. Dreyer Cornelius and Jordan Hutema have been named the Canadian Soccer Youth International Players of the Year.
Yeah.
Cornelius, so he beat out like Jonathan David and other players like that, right? Good for him.
A couple of ones that I voted for. Did you put your votes through?
I did.
Okay. I actually, mine were very close to both of them. Well, actually, they were for the winners. I voted Christine Sinclair as winner. She did win. I had Jesse Fleming number 2 and Buchanan number 3. It was swapped. Buchanan was number 2 and Fleming was number 3.
I had Kadisha number 1.
Yeah.
Did she win the Champions League? Was that this year?
No, but the only thing is, when I looked into that, she didn't actually play. She was dealing with an injury, so she didn't play very much.
Did they win it this year or was it the year before? Now I'm forgetting.
You're asking me about women's football.
Olympic Leone.
You're asking the wrong person.
14th time that Sinclair has won it, and she led Canada in goals for the 15th time in 19 years.
Deserving.
And then, obviously, the men's side.
No contest.
Yeah, Alfonso Davies. Well, we don't know.
Scott
I don't know
Arfield.
what the results were.
I voted for Scott Arfield.
Did you?
I did actually, but as number 3.
I voted
Who
for...
do you- Fonzie
I
won?
put Fonzie
Yeah.
first.
I can't remember.
Rosario
I honestly
second.
can't remember.
Other Canadian soccer blogger types people on purpose didn't choose Davies because they knew he was going to win, but put other people.
I put Davies number 1. I think I had... I can't remember who I put 2 and 3. I think it was... But the 2 and 3 were Osario, and I put Lucas Cavallini as the top 3.
Yeah, he had a good year.
And he scored, obviously, 8 times and picked up 11 assists. He is the youngest ever winner of the award. Previous youngest winners were Simeon Jackson and Jim Brennan, who were 22 when they won in 2009 and 1999. So obviously a big difference there. A couple of last things. MLS invited initial group of 60 players to the 2019 Combine, 4 Canadians, some with BC connections. Obviously, Alex Comcia, former Whitecaps Academy player from North Vancouver. Highlander FC alum Kei Kamara from Victoria.
Yep.
SFU grad Kei Kamara. He's from Montreal, but obviously played with SFU. And then one that obviously from Ontario, Kamal Miller.
Alex. So he's one of the guys who did all he could to get out of his being owned by the Whitecaps thing, right?
Yeah.
So he's.
Well, anyone can leave the residency.
Yeah.
No, but they still have rights to you, I think.
No.
I checked that as soon as they leave the residency.
Yeah. There's no.
I think that changed because there were players at certain times who went to American colleges so they could get out of.
No. He didn't need to do that. He was
maybe he didn't, but other players.
I don't think he even played once for the U18s. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I don't think
because he went to Europe, right?
Yeah, he went to Europe.
Yeah. But Hoshbub's poor, which I've just murdered his name, but the guy he went to play in Bulgaria. And the Caps got nothing for it because you can just leave and sign for another team.
But that's not MLS.
No, it's different. MLS rights are different.
Yeah, because there's at least one player from the residency earlier era who I was told they went and played college to get out of.
Oh, Daniel Stanisi.
Yes, that's the player. They went to play college just so he could not be owned by the Whitecaps in MLS.
As soon as they finish the residency, the Caps have to get them back for training. And if they don't get them back for a set number of hours...
the Callum Irving. Right.
Yeah, then they do not hold their MLS rights anymore.
Last bit of news, and I know we touched on it. I think we touched on it a little bit last week, but DAZN has now scored the rights to the English Premier League, and their broadcast rights taken away.
For the EPL.
Take away from basically taking away from TSN and Sportsnet, but there are options where there's two things. Either DAZN is trying to become make themselves into like a specialty channel, so they are available on TV,
right?
Or they might sell a game of the week to one of TSN or Sportsnet, so you get a game of the week each weekend.
Well, I mean, when they took the Champions League contract, they stressed they were not selling any of that.
I think it's a mistake because what you do is you sell it to TSN and you advertise your DAZN thing there. It's free marketing because that's not even free marketing. They're paying you to get marketing.
Burnley Huddersfield is your game of the week.
No, you gotta
I can't wait.
You gotta give one of the big 5 teams. They could be playing Burnley or Huddersfield, but they have to be one of the big 5.
I just want to know what's happening with the Bundesliga rights because in January, if I want to watch everything live, then I'm going to have to pay someone.
World,
right?
Which I have on and off over the course of the year because I have it for the FA Cup primarily.
See, this week it was great because they weren't showing Bayern at 6:30. They didn't show any Bundesliga at 6:30, so then I just put it on the app because if you have Sportsnet now, anything they don't show live on Sportsnet World, you can watch.
Yes.
So I was able to watch the game and it was glorious. It was great. But obviously, they're more weeks than not. They're going to put Bayern on, especially once Alfonso's eligible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'll start watching Bundesliga then.
And we can talk. I think we might have a segment maybe in the future.
We should do. Because, you don't care about the Whitecaps anymore. Anyway, that is it for this week's show. Just before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
For me, it's at Zachary AM, and I'm a part of the Movement Curva Collective.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read our stuff, aftn.ca. Give us a follow on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. At some point, I'll post to Instagram again. Thank you for listening. Next week is our 3-hour Christmas special.
3 hours?
3 hours.
It's starting at 9?
9 till midnight.
Oh, man.
It'll be our first annual Christmas Eve show.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can be here.
Well, we'll start without you.
Yeah. I'll be here at some point,
We'll
be
playing songs. We'll have games. But that is it. Thank you so much for listening. Apologies again for the delay in starting. If you've stayed with us to 150,
what are you doing?
We admire you. See you next week. And mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.